Hello, my name is Daniel Arroyo, and today we will be talking about ethics. Today we are taking a look at ethics as it pertains to corporate responsibilities. This is a huge element to any organization, as it is a vital to the success of the company to integrate ethics into the culture and utilize it as a primary building block to your business. Ethics is one of the integral components to any endeavor and should be an area that is given an appropriate amount of attention so that we can ensure the appropriate focus is paid towards ethics. As we take a look back at the recent past, we will review ethics and dilemmas in an organization. We can see how some patterns arise and how the issue of ethics and ethical abandonment or a lack of ethical attention and focus has caused problems for other companies. As we look at the corporate landscape and review how ethics has impacted others and other organizations, we can see how there is a great deal of opportunity as it relates to ethics. Looking at some companies that were involved in some ethical issues were the Tesla Motor Company and their involvement in a self-piloting vehicle caused an automobile accident, the collapse of medical testing company Theranos, who began selling products before they were actually made into existence, and price gouging established by Milan, who raised the price of the EpiPen over 600%, and ultimately the recall of the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 due to a defect with the phone's battery. When we look at the technological landscape of the times that we live in, we can see how Samsung Note 7 recalls were such an impacting hit to consumers. Individuals these days weigh heavily on electronics, especially mobile devices. Connectivity and our ability to communicate with others in a dynamic setting that we have managed to normalize within our society. With the normalization of technology and how it is integrated into our lives, we can see how having a device that can explode, start a fire, and generally have the ability to take someone's life is a product and a situation that must be approached delicately. In some of the ways Samsung says that it is going to combat the issue in the future is by taking a greater stance on quality control metrics. Quality first is one of their focal points, as they also focus on quality assurance, quality control, and improved expertise coming from their latest issue. As we look at the evidence and the elements that surround this recall, and how it even got to this point, we must question ourselves whether the ethical execution of processes and procedures were carried out by both the battery supplier and Samsung. Between these two organizations, the appropriate procedures were not followed, and the research and development and testing phases of the release of this product may have experienced individuals cutting corners, not complying with company procedures or government-mandated regulations surrounding the appropriate testing and implementation of these batteries in Samsung's products. Due to potential negligence and the faulty product that was then manufactured and placed into products and then were sold, due to their negligence, these products then caught fire, forced planes out of the sky, exploded, causing injuries, and a slew of other negative attention. This impacts the brand as consumers lose confidence in the products that Samsung has to offer, which ultimately can lead to a domino effect of issues with the company that could result in the closing of the organization. With that comes the question on what other elements of the business have been negatively impacted, covered up, or not executed appropriately, resulting in potential negative impacts to the business. This is one of the most concerning elements when not executing appropriate ethical focus, as now the potential for questions arise regarding business practice, ethical execution, and compliance execution. It is also hard to win back the trust of your consumer after impacting them in such a negative manner. This situation was also difficult for those individuals that were severely injured, for individuals who purchased a phone and then had to wait for a replacement phone and then had to wait to get a different phone altogether. And lastly, any individual that was on a waiting list for a phone who never received one to begin with. It is elements like this that make it difficult to continue supporting a brand. These times are also very trying for the corporation that is impacting these consumers, as they are then flooded from an array of regulators, compliance inspectors, and various other agencies to question how this happened and what went wrong. These agencies dig deep into various metrics of the business to determine what negligence is prevalent and to identify other areas of opportunity, leaving the company open for a large array of liabilities. This is an area where a great deal of focus needs to be paid attention to, as we need to ensure the consumers. Much like Bluebell ice cream and their cookie dough ice cream, which was the root cause of multiple deaths, serious hospitalizations, and other negative impacts due to the sanitation standards that were being neglected. Samsung has the ability to also impact individuals in the same manner with their negligence in ensuring the safety of their products and consumers. As we have looked at ethical dilemmas as it pertains to Samsung and the Galaxy Note 7 recall, we must understand how this can be prevented going into the future. The greatest way we can impact metrics that pertain to ethics, safety, organizational responsibility, morals, and other vital fundamentals that should be the building blocks of any organization is by establishing a culture within your organization to focus on these elements using strategic planning. Strategic planning is one of the keys to success encompassing these areas, as we have the ability to map out areas and elements of our businesses that may be impacted negatively. Based on those areas of opportunity, we can build and reinforce our businesses to ensure that these vital areas are paid attention to. Through strategic planning, we can set the tone for areas of importance like metrics. We must create a roadmap of expectations, policies, procedures, executions, workplace standards, and various other components within our companies. We need to reassure our employees and shareholders that we have the ability to diligently map out focal areas that are susceptible to specific opportunities, and we have laid out the processes and also have established the practices to review those processes to ensure they are maintaining and that they do not need to be adjusted. All of these elements and processes should be established during the conception of the organization, as we need to understand that the establishment of ethics throughout the creation of our business. In doing so, we can rest assured that every element that is associated with constructing the business, getting permits, hiring our staff, training, and any other element is done so with an ethical concentration and focus. As we speak of hiring, we need to look at the various individuals we are placing in our leadership positions, as they are the people that will be driving what is important in your business. One area that all leadership individuals should have a laser beam focus on is ethics. Leadership sets the tone for what is important in their facilities, and ethics is one of the areas that needs constant concentration and support. Our leadership will be the models of what we expect our employees to act like, dress like, talk like, and everything in between. After looking at leadership, we need to look at the roles within our organizations to determine who will be or how we will follow up on the audit processes associated with ethics. From human resources to environmental compliance, there are a great deal of elements that need to be reviewed to ensure we are executing them appropriately per company or federal guidelines. This auditing process will allow us the ability to see what areas are experiencing what opportunities, how we can correct items next time before they happen, how we can improve on it now, and how to do better in the future. Having areas to look at and specific items within those areas to look at on a specific timetable are wise elements to adopt and utilize for other organizations, as it will establish a routine and a focus on specific ethical elements and will assist us to establish a strong ethical culture within our organizations. A huge way we have the ability to impact ethics also pertains to our buy-in from our employees. How do they get the message? How do they retain the message? What do they do with the message? These and many other questions we should be asking so that we know how to address our employees and how we ultimately can become successful. One of the methods many utilize to obtain inclusion and cooperation from their employees is understanding what fuels them and what is their passions in life. By understanding your employees, you can have the ability to make the ethical message mean more to them and allow them the understanding as to why it is so important to make ethics a focus. When people understand the why behind things, they are more likely to support it. When individuals know that they have to look at a safety checklist for a piece of equipment because one day their children will be doing the same job or could be purchasing an item that they are manufacturing, and then an employee may absorb that deeper and really understand the impacts of their work. As we include the ways we should be viewing ethics, how ethics are established and executed in the workplace, and why ethics are important, we can see why ethics should be a driving factor for any organization. Looking back at Samsung as an example of what can happen when we cut corners, we neglect ethics, and when we quiet the voice of corporate responsibility, we can negatively impact someone's life. How doing the easy way instead of the right way can hurt people. Using this company as an example, we can see how the implementation and utilization of ethics can negatively impact an organization and how we have the ability to ultimately push our business and our people towards success. Thank you very much for your time and attention regarding this presentation on ethics.